GameSpot live stage at E3 2014. Joining me, Al. We're going to talk Alien.
That's right.
And it's going to be awesome. My colleague Sean McGinnis got his hands on the game, got to play it a little bit. Was just raving about the presentation, what you guys are doing to really make this a proper Alien game rooted in the movies.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we talk about this is the Alien game that we wanted to play. I think games within the franchise that kind of look more towards the James Cameron Aliens experience, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
But we felt like we wanted.
But it's very different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to go back to the kind of the roots of this series. Kind of back to Ridley Scott's Haunted House in Space, and really kind of, what would it be like to try and confront that original Alien? And
it's been when a couple years ago I rewatched all the Alien movies, right? And so there's a huge transition from Alien to Aliens, and so much of the movie is about just like tone, as it's just about waiting,
right,
and about foreboding.
Yeah.
And so we're taking a look at the trailer of the game in action, and what's some of the important things for you guys in terms of creating that sense of like, oh god.
Yeah. So I mean, one of the big things for us is I think horror is about kind of not knowing what's going to happen next, right? It's about the fear of the unknown. And so we realized early on that our Alien couldn't run under any prescribed paths or patterns. It wouldn't be able to, we didn't want you to be able to learn what it was going to do next. And so our Alien just uses its senses of sight and sound to try and track the player down. So every time you play the game, you have a slightly different encounter. And I think that's the fantastic thing about being at E3. We've got the show floor hands-on, and just watching people encounter this creature and seeing how they respond to it and how they try and survive.
Yeah, I imagine that is a pretty special feeling for you guys, having spent so much time putting so much work into creating, to like see people in like a brightly lit, very loud, very public space, still getting the bejesus scared out of them when they get close to that xenomorph.
Yeah, I mean it's really fun to see people get totally immersed and get jumped by the alien and throw their headphones down and then have this massive smile on their face and kind of look around and then put the headphones back on and go again. And it's a really, as a developer, that's a wonderful thing to see.
Oh, it must be. All right, so here, what's happening? I mean.
So yeah, I mean this is a game really about survival. It's not about trying to kill the aliens. So
an evasion, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Evasion.
Yeah, absolutely. And using whatever is at hand to try and survive. So here, the alien has appeared, and the player is managed to duck into a locker. And here the alien suspects that there may be something in the locker, but you're able to try and you hold your breath to not give yourself away, and hopefully he'll move on. Yeah, there he goes. So he's moved on, and the player survived that encounter. Yeah, so he's off.
And so this isn't a scripted. The player survives this encounter situation.
No, absolutely not. No, it's really emergent. As developers, we don't know what's going to happen. So again here, the player's using the environment to duck under this table. It's about everything being really unpredictable. We have also on the game set on this kind of decommissioned space station, and there's a small inhabitants, and they're in the same situation as the player. They're desperate to survive as well, but they also run under the kind of same principles of the AI, that they're using their senses to understand the world around them. So you have all these kind of really emergent layers that combine in really interesting ways, and of course sometimes things really escalate fast and get out of control, whereas aliens and humans, and we also have these things called seasoned synthetics, and they're they're kind of an android type, sort of biomechanical android, and so you've got all these different things all running under their own AI with the player causing chaos, and it's really unpredictable, and I think that's the interesting thing for us as developers. We've played this game every day for the last couple of years.
Sure.
And yet we still get our hearts still start thumping, and I think it's because it is unpredictable. Every time you play, it's like playing for the first time.
Having, I think, the other NPC players, other humans, wandering about and doing their own thing. There's something very effective about seeing terror in someone else to help you sort of to drive home that sense of like, this is not a good situation.
Yeah. I mean, we always want to feel the player to feel kind of underpowered and underprepared. There are a small selection of weapons in the game,
I noticed it says revolver on the
yeah,
screen,
yeah. But you know, as you can see, there's very limited ammo there.
Yep.
And also, just firing that gun will make a huge amount of noise. And noise is a really important component of the game. You know, that will attract a lot of attention and a lot of heat to you. Here we got the iconic flamethrower from the first movie. You know, that's a really fantastic kind of high-impact weapon, but it also has some significant drawbacks. You know, it burns fuel really rapidly, so it's kind of almost like a weapon of last resort. You know, as Ash says in the first film, you know, most creatures are afraid of fire, and no, that's true. You know, we're staying true to that within Alien Isolation, but it's a kind of a one-shot deal almost.
Like, yeah, you only when you really need it, and maybe even, you know, hopefully you can get it out in time. So I think my question is sort of that when a player sits down, they sort of play, are you expecting them to make it through? Are you through, you know, the first time? Are you expecting them to die a lot before they sort of get through? What sort of sweet spot are you aiming for in sort of challenge and you know, but also keeping the player moving along?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, at the heart of the game is Amanda's story. You know, and that's going to pull you through. But at the same time, you know, we want people to have a fun time. So we will have different levels of difficulty, so people can kind of find their sweet spot of challenge. You know, this game cannot be kind of unrelentingly oppressive, because I don't think that would actually be a particularly enjoyable thing. And you know, it is a game about having those, you know, really high impact moments, but you know, also giving the chance for the player to breathe again. You know, it's a little tension release.
Yeah, you got to have that pacing, otherwise it's just that relentless monolithic experience. And I think that, you know, you can string them along longer and get deeper emotion out of the player if you have that kind of sense.
Absolutely.
All right, so the player was just hiding from another human there, it looked like, or, well, could have been a synthetic, and as we all know, synthetics in the alien world are maybe not so trustworthy.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. It's again back to sort of unpredictability and player choice. You know, in that case, there was a human survivor. We just noticed he was armed. I mean, the player had a few choices there. They pulled out what we call a noisemaker, which is this kind of crazy device with 2 speakers and some circuitry, and if you throw that in the world, it makes some really weird noises that attracts attention, and the player could have done that, and that might have coaxed the guy away and cleared your path.
And maybe coaxed the alien towards that guy.
But that's the risk, right?
Yeah.
We're really, you know, keen for every action the player has to have some kind of cost or risk associated with it. We really want sort of the player to really think about every choice and every action they take. So here, the players found into themselves in this room, and they're kind of going through a kind of puzzle. So they've managed to get the power back on, but at the same time, it's triggered this synthetic to come out of its tube. Now we've come across these guys in the past, and again,
somebody we maybe don't trust.
Well, they've been, you know, they can be a positive influence on the player. They can be kind of neutral, and they can also be aggressive as well. So it's about information. It's about trying to figure out when you approach these guys how it's going to go down. So in this case, the player's being quite cautious and just biding their time and figuring out whether or not this guy's going to be a help or a hindrance.
You know, I think in a lot of games, collecting information, audio recordings to flesh out the world and stuff is like an ancillary goal. It's something that just helps as a secondary. In Alien Isolation, you're not just there trying to escape. You're also trying to learn what is going on and gather information, right?
Yeah. So I mean, the story takes place 15 years after the Nostromo goes missing. Weyland-Yutani believe that someone's found the flight recorder unit of the Nostromo, and they send a really small crew to go to this remote space station to pick it up. It's a very simple mission, and Amanda, Ellen Ripley's daughter, who's been searching for kind of the answers to what happened to her mother, volunteers to...
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up there, Synthetic?
So she volunteers to be part of this crew to go and collect the black box. So here, the android has obviously discovered, the Synthetic's discovered you. But he's super tough and pretty strong. We see we're using the revolver, but that doesn't seem to want to stop him. We can try the flamethrower, but he seems quite impervious to fire.
Yeah, not really deterred by this.
So we're going to have to think of something else. Now, I think earlier in this we just picked up an EMP mine. So if we try and use that, so this is useful against the more biomechanical elements. Right, so he's been stunned, so I think we should try to go in and finish him off.
And now time to go to town with that wrench again.
Yeah. Right, so we've
and that's
dropped him. But of course, we've come at a risk that we might have, all that commotion might have caused attracted attention, but it looks like we've got away with it.
And that's, that screen, that sort of detector, I feel like I can hear the click. I can hear that sound effect in my head.
Yeah.
And did you guys, sort of go to the films, go to that source material to pull out a lot of those audio cues?
Absolutely. So, I think 20th Century Fox have been, phenomenally supportive, giving us some amazing access to the production archives, stuff that's possibly been laying dormant for 35 years, both in terms of the sort of set designs, everything from kind of continuity Polaroids to sort of blueprints and audio archives as well. So it's, we're obviously big fans of this lo-fi sci-fi aesthetic that obviously you get from the first film, which feels like completely unique within sci-fi. Sci-fi I think quite often tends to be more towards the shiny and the holograms,
and the glowing blue screens.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But this is a completely different thing. It's the kind of this clunky, chunky push-button world of
CRT monitors that are like, why is that so small? You couldn't get it bigger. But like, it's also that sort of that economy of space of space that you have to have in space when you're going and building these facilities. Not for luxury, but to be very purpose-built on a hostile world.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that.
It still feeds back into the sort of idea that technology isn't the answer. That that you're not going to find some massive gun somewhere that's going to be the answer to your problems. There's no lasers or phasers. It's very rudimentary. It's very clunky, chunky, and you're going to have to find another way to survive.
How has it been for you guys at Creative Assembly to work on this project, which is not, to put it lightly, not the kind of thing you guys have been making predominantly for the past decade?
Yeah, absolutely. We're most well known and famous for awesome Total War games, which are real-time strategy games. So yeah, doing a survival horror game possibly does seem a little left field, but I don't know. This game totally came from us. This is a game that we wanted to make, and we pitched it to Sega and then to Fox. This was a project that we really wanted to do and believed in passionately that there was a new experience to be had. But I think as a studio, we have some kind of common goals. We set ourselves really high quality benchmarks for quality, and also some authenticity. Whether that's the Total War guys, striving for historical reality, or whether it's us trying to put you back into Ridley Scott's universe.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of common values and shared goals there. So I can get it from the outside. It seems odd. But from the inside, it seems perfectly natural.
But it also seems so great for you guys to, and honestly, for development studios out there, so many of them sort of stick with the strength, and then they end up just doing that for until they burn out on it. It seems great that you guys are getting this, have seized this opportunity and sort of created it for yourself.
It is absolutely, it felt like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We knew Sega was able to make games based on their franchise. We had this really great idea. It was now or never. But yeah, I worked at Creative Assembly for a very long time. When I started, we used to make sports games for Electronic Arts, and I remember us pitching, trying to make a real-time strategy game, and we'd have people come to us and say, "Why do you want to make real-time strategy games?"
So what are you guys doing?
You make sports games. You're sports games guys. And I think it is kind of easy to just label certain developers to make certain things, but I think it's probably true of most developers. I think that we certainly felt like we had the scope to broaden out and do something different.
And that's awesome to see, and great to see you guys sort of capitalizing on the diverse interests, because you can really get into some deep tactical war history. You also love this movie, man. I love this world, and now you're in space, and oh god, trying to terrify the crap out of players. So let's talk a little bit about the characters involved here, because this is Ripley's daughter, sort of looking there, trying to find the fate of the Nostromo, and what other, some of the AI people you encounter seem to be, they're not, characters you're going to spend a lot of time learning about, but to what extent do you know who else is around you?
Right, so I really wanted to mirror, in Alien you have this amazing ensemble cast where you have these characters and you kind of understand their relationships and the tensions, and then the alien arrives and all the tensions and relationships get pulled apart.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to kind of mirror that. And so in Alien Isolation, you do have this sort of small cast that you get to know and learn about, but of course how they respond to events and the alien, influences the player's journey, and so you do get to meet some characters and learn their story as well.
Excellent. And there we see the Cinemorph in all its glory. Oh, good God. Nice. Alien Isolation. All right, Al, you guys coming out this year?
Yeah, October 7th, 2014.
October 7th.
That
is going to be quite a month. So would you recommend people sort of give the movies another watch before they dive back into Alien Isolation?
I think if you're really familiar with the movie, then you're going to get a huge amount out of it. But likewise, I think if you kind of come to this completely fresh, I think the values of that movie are kind of universal, and just like the people who went to the movies back in 1979 had no idea what they were about to face, right? I think that's the same for this game, and if you come to this game completely fresh, I think you're still going to get a huge amount out of it.
Excellent. And yeah, actually, Sean McInnes, my colleague, hasn't seen the Alien movies, and he went to play the game, and it made a believer out of him, and he was super thrilled about it. So It's great to have you up here, Al, talking Alien Isolation. October 7th this year, folks. You can get terrified. All right, we're going to head out to the floor, check out Sonic Boom with Lisa Foyles. We were just chatting with her earlier. We'll see what she's getting up to, and then we'll be back live with another demo here on stage.